Okay, today is officially May 17th. I am Burlington on the spot. We are live today. This has got to be probably, if you're listening, you get a chance to watch it. This is probably one of the coolest. No, it's got to be the coolest setup that we've done. We're live at Williams Floral, and our guest today is Bill Rawlings. We're talking gardening. We're talking flowers, everything that's outdoor. And then today, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself if somebody doesn't know who you are, and then today's a special day.
Yeah, today is a special day, Troy. First of all, thank you for doing all this. It's very impressive watching you set all this up, bringing it from your office to our shop. But yes, today is a special day. Officially 20 years ago today, we opened up our business. We woke up this morning 20 years ago with about 4 or 5 inches of snow on the ground.
So that was in 2002?
And that was in 2002. And I thought, oh boy, what have I done? But God, I think, was showing us that the good and the not so good that'll go with it, because the good thing was the snow melted, the sun came out, the air was fresh, people got out and supported us, so it was a successful day. So
yeah, 20 years. I mean, that's impressive. Any business that can last 20 years in a rural setting like this, and we'll get more into that. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, I was in here about a week ago, and you guys are getting real busy right now. So when I come in, I mean, and that's a great thing, but so, myself, part of the reason I wanted to do this is you have such good insight. You have such good knowledge, and I think that sharing that today, honestly, sharing that today would be great for people looking for tips on gardening, on container gardening, planters and stuff. Yeah. So I was in here, and I was standing in line, and we started, there's 3 of us, and we're just kind of chit-chatting on what we're trying to do. And so we were doing raised beds. And one of the girls in line was jumped in with you, and you, as always, jumped in and gave her great tips. So is that raised beds? Let's talk a little bit about that right at the start, right? Like what, so, and then we'll jump into the history and all that good stuff. But as far as like raised bed goes, are you seeing more people going to raised beds, and like, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, Troy, probably the last 10 years or so, container gardening, raised beds has become such a huge thing. And the reason why, it's all about our lives are busier with kids, jobs, everything, school. It's being a lot more conservative about watering, with less watering, and it's being less maintenance. Sometimes the old traditional gardening where you planted just in the ground, there was a lot more weeding, watering, fertilizing, and it was a whole lot more maintenance. With container gardening or raised beds, it's a lot more controlled with your soil amendments, your watering, your fertilizer, and then you can plant more what you're wanting to plant, if you're into the flowers or the herbs or the vegetables or all of it. And then also on some of the container gardening, you can move it a little bit, so if the weather is not being very conducive with some of the weather elements we have out here, you can put things underneath a patio, or it's easier to cover up, or that sort of thing. So it's just making life a whole lot better and easier for gardening, yes.
Yeah, and so thinking about that, so they make some that probably, I even saw some on wheels, and some of the containers where you could easily move them around. The ones that I was looking at, and that girl that was in line, I think those are the type that lay directly on the soil, and then you fill it up with soil on top of it, right? And I think the reason I'm trying to do it is weeds. Yeah. I mean, honestly, every year we try and plant a garden, I'm trying to get a few things, right? I'm trying to get carrots, which I can't get, apparently. I mean, I've tried. We always get squash, we get zucchini, we get cucumbers, radishes sometimes, but having problems with carrots. And then the biggest issue is just weeds. Yeah. So is that something where I can go and rototill my whole garden, right? And then what I would probably want to do is, since I'm doing the raised beds, so rototill the whole thing and then lay down. I'm thinking of going over to the USDA. I have a buddy who's a farmer, and he even has a couple rolls from them, but I want to probably put a whole ground cover down, right, to keep all the weeds. Is that what you recommend? Or
yeah, that would be a good weed control. And with raised beds, you don't need to go real deep. Most of the The root systems on vegetables and flowers generally go around that 12 inches, give or take. And so it's not like you got to have a raised bed 3 or 4 foot tall. Sometimes we do that where it makes it easier on our backs for bending and that sort of thing.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
But a lot of times, you can just go that 10, 12 inches deep, and you can get the soil amendment. So like when you're talking about some of your more, like your root vegetables, like your potatoes, carrots, radishes, that sort of thing, you can have that soil amendment that is a good soil amendment. So the carrots and the radishes can expand and grow, and then they're getting the good nutrients of a proper soil amendment. And so that way it's more healthy, as well as you have a more milder taste, if you will, instead of a bitter taste.
Oh, really? It actually impacts the taste of...
Oh, yeah. And then, and if people want to do a higher raised bed like we have in our backyard at home, ours is about 3 foot. And the reason we did that is just where Deb and I are getting older, we're trying to make it easier.
Right.
And so we just get plain old fill dirt to fill the bottom to be more cost effective. Then we do our soil amendment, just that 10, 12 inches deep. And that makes it work out great.
So you're saying soil amendment. What kind of soil? Let's pretend I go get my raised bed, which next week I'll have it. What do I want to put in there? What kind of topsoil? I mean, peat moss. Just what? I'm talking on stuff I don't know. Yeah. I heard you say a little bit. So.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people today are a lot more in the organic soils. Just for the fact is we're learning with ourselves as well as our kids, our grandkids. There's a lot more allergies out there and that sort of thing. So with the organic soils, it makes it just a little bit more pure, if you will. But yeah, you could use plain topsoil, potting mixes and that sort of thing. One thing I really like is this last 2 years with the COVID thing going on, it's actually teaching us to be smarter operators and to learn more. At one time, we could just order things in and it was here. Kind of took that for granted, Troy. With COVID, we've learned, for an example, some of the things that we used to get now. Some of these big companies have changed and you have to order a whole semi-load or they won't even want to talk to you anymore. So we're learning, like, for an example, we're doing organic soil. Excuse me for looking away.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
But it's where we're getting smarter is this is an organic soil. It's indoor, outdoor. It's made right in Colorado.
Oh, wow.
And so it's kind of keeping our economy a little more local. And what I really like about this, Deb and I have been using it, and you can use this to start your seeds. You can use it, like I said, indoor, outdoor. And it's all natural, and it's got chicken manure in it, which is a really good manure, but and it don't smell, but it's a really good mix to do that, to mix with topsoil or regular potting mix or whatever. And with container gardening, Troy, every year we need to add a little bit of fertilizer or amendment because the flowers or the vegetables kind of start taking the nutrients out of that.
That makes sense.
And so what's really good about this is with controlled container gardening, raised beds, you can add a little bit of soluble fertilizer or a soil amendment or a time-release fertilizer, and that'll get you through the whole season.
Now, when you're saying amendment, is that a synonym for fertilizer, or what exactly?
Yeah, it's kind of a broad thing. You can use like your like I say, your soluble water fertilizers or your sphagnum peat moss. The time-release granulated stuff. All of that is kind of amendment that just kind of enriches our soil again for the root system. One thing we need to remember is when planting flowers or vegetables, the soil is kind of the heart of the whole thing. If you have a good soil, you have a good root system. If you have a good root system, you have a good plant, which in turn gives you a good bloom. a
Gotcha.
good vegetable or whatever, and that sort of thing. And that keeps it a whole lot more cost effective than trying to do a whole garden out on the open ground, So,
Yeah, and then okay, so I mean that's awesome. So I know, and then is that something you guys will mix up for folks, or like
yes,
because I heard the lady who was in line, and you said, hey, I'll mix that all up, I'll come deliver it. So that's something you guys will do for anyone listening or watching.
yeah, and we do that, and then the whole thing is we do that to help people, basically to learn, and it helps us to help you, and then it's exciting that when you get good results from your flowers, your vegetables, and you'll come back in and say, hey,
Look at this.
look at this, or I took a picture of my camera, look at that, or my phone, and it's a good feeling, to see what it's all about and how to do it. And I think that it's a proven fact with statistics that 86% of us people in the United States, regardless if they're young like Logan, just starting out, or young couples or getting older, we all like some sort of gardening, regardless if it's indoors or outdoor, and it's therapeutic. It makes you feel good. And this is one thing I really enjoy about this business, Troy, is when I see someone feel good and show me what they've done, it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
That I made somebody else feel good through
Right
gardening.
on.
Yeah.
Well, and then so am I going to have to worry about weeds on the raised bed? I mean, I'm still going to have to weed a little bit, but it shouldn't be as bad as it was. Like, and I'm going to ask some stupid questions, just telling you, right? But like, do I have to worry about weeds growing up through?
Yeah, that's not a stupid question at all, because weeds, we won't get away from at all. I mean, weeds are here and that's it. But
if I'm putting the ground cover down, that'll help for sure.
Yeah, so,
that's the key then.
So instead of going out and spending all afternoon or all day pulling weeds and whacking weeds and spraying weeds and that sort of thing, you can go out with a bucket and pick a handful of weeds. So it's more of a maintenance thing, kind of like changing the oil in your vehicle. It's a maintenance thing, but it's not going to be so hardcore. And by the time you get done, you're just exhausted and you hated it, and you could care less if you've done it again. With the container gardening, the raised beds, where it's more controlled, there's a whole lot less weed pulling and that sort of thing. So you can enjoy doing the other things that you want to do with the garden.
And probably have a chance at growing those carrots.
Yes, yeah.
So one of the other questions she asked, which was a great question, and you were like, bugs. So obviously, pest control. So if you're going to do that, what's the best way to keep animals out and bugs and rabbits and all that good stuff?
Well, there again, it's maintenance control, Troy. But
right.
I've learned through other customers, and it's actually interesting. Some of the older customers, some of the more wise, experienced, been around the block people, there's simple things that you can get at the grocery store. You can take lemon juice and garlic juice, mix it together with water, and spray that around your container. And it don't stop them, but it deters them. And because it agitates their senses, and they don't like to be around that when it agitates.
Like little critters specifically and stuff.
Yeah, rabbits, mice, ground squirrels, that sort of thing. Another thing that works really good that we keep in stock all the time is a cedar mulch, and the cedar mulch is intertwined fibered, so when the wind blows. Oh, does the wind blow out here, Troy?
Yeah, historic, right? This year, I showed you that graph. It's been crazy.
Yeah. When the wind blows, the fiber mulch keeps it more in place, so it don't blow out so much, like say bark, for an example. But the cedar mulch does three things. One, it holds the moisture in better. Two, it helps weed control. Okay. And three, here again, it's cedar. It's kind of like a cedar chest, so it deters the insects and the rodents and the varmints because it agitates their senses. And when you get it wet, when you're watering, it releases that scent. And so they're going like, oh, I don't want to be around that,
Is that something that you're laying on top then, or you're mixing it in, or how does that?
You're just laying on top as a top ground dressing. Yeah. And so it does so what I really like about it, it's natural and it does a lot of things with one thing. and that sort of thing. And then if you don't want to go that avenue, that route, we do have Fertilome carries it or makes it, and it's called Triple Action. And so some people will say, well, I have an insect problem, but I'm not sure, it might be a fungicide too. I'm not sure, and out here with our weather changing, Troy, we have a lot more fungus than we used to. So with Triple Action, it comes in a spray bottle or a hose in, and you can spray that, and that will take care of your fungicides, your insects, and all of that. But we do have to remember that is a chemical. But you can moist your vegetables, I think, 24 hours, and then you can eat them. So there is ways to control insects and varmints. You'll never stop them, but you sure can control them.
Right, it's back to maintenance, like you said.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know the answer to this, but so we also have berries. We have berry bushes. We have blackberries, I think, black raspberries maybe.
Yeah.
And somebody had mentioned that starting last year, and I noticed it a little bit, bugs, tons of bugs. Is that something that I would spray on that, or is there anything to spray on that you know of that wouldn't be chemical, or so like if the kids are grabbing them, and eating them, or we just kind of...
the best thing that I'm aware of is neem oil. Neem oil has been around for a very, very long time, and neem oil is an insecticide deterrent that's more on the natural side. And berries are slow to start off out here where we live. Your blueberries, your blackberries, raspberries, grapes even. They can all grow out here, but when you plant them, mix a little bit of the acidic fertilizer in with them, which we carry, and I think most people do, and then let them climb up on something. They like to climb up like on wire, and out here again where the wind blows on the vining type things. A lot of times you can put a couple T-posts in the ground. You can take your wire and put that wire on the T-post and just let those things start growing and give them some acidic, they call it an acid-loving fertilizer, and they'll take off and start growing. And I know there's some people down in Cheyenne Wells that have a beautiful crop of blueberries down there doing that.
Really?
Yeah.
And so what is it called again? The spray that you put on to the natural?
That there is neem oil.
Neem oil.
Yeah. And then,
do you guys carry that here?
Yep,
or?
we do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Interesting. Yeah. So grapes, do you know people actually growing grapes?
Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, we grow grapes right out in the corner of our property here.
I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah.
So did you already plant those then? And is it something you plant yearly, or does it come back on its own?
No, it comes back on its own. It's kind of a woody vine. We planted the red seedless grapes, and then we also planted Concord grapes. Last year, we didn't have the best crop with them. When they was doing their thing, I had the bad hand infection, but all better now. But the last couple years before that, we was getting a nice bowl full of grapes and Concord grapes, and you put those in the refrigerator and have those in the morning with your cereal. Woo! I tell you what, a piece of heaven there.
Are they? They're good, huh?
Yeah.
Well, and that's another good point. So does it seem like most people are already planning at this point? Because we're getting May 17th, we're getting there. Although there could be a freeze, right? In a couple days?
This week it sounds like listening to the weather forecast and looking on the Weather Channel thing, that it's more of a typical spring. It's all up and down with the wind. It's all up and down with the temperature. I think, what is it? One day it's going to be 90, the next day 60. And then I think Friday night they're saying 34, but this time of the year we should be okay. I mean, I don't think it's going to hurt things like it would have, say, 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Where it would have just wiped out what you were trying to grow?
Right. The April started off slow, of course, because of all the wind. I mean, according to 9 News, I think we had the windiest April on Colorado recorded history with weather.
Yeah, that graph showed it. This is the windiest year for sustained over the amount of days for sustained winds over 30 ever.
Yeah.
I mean, and it
Man,
doubles. You can look back, like it's pretty level, you know, like a couple years, 75 and stuff, and then you see 2022 and it's double.
Yeah, been
already.
crazy. Yeah.
So,
and but May's been starting off really well. I mean, matter of fact, we usually get 1 load a week, and we are doing 2 loads a week right now, just for the fact, people are starting to get out. The weather's starting to straight up. We're still having the wind. We do need more moisture, obviously, but we did get some nice moisture a couple weeks ago. The wind is tamed down somewhat, and the weather's getting nicer, and the soil temperature is warm enough. And that's another thing, Troy. Soil temperature. A good rule of thumb is when the ground temperature is 50 degrees or higher, that's when things will start growing and germinating, and we're there now. So anyway, yeah.
Well, so last night when we were in here setting up, you gave me some lettuce, and
Yeah.
it was awesome lettuce. When did you start growing that?
Actually, the lettuce we started growing, Deb and I, radishes, lettuce, carrots, spinach. We started growing that in early spring.
Like indoor or outdoor?
No, outdoor. Those things can take the frost and that sort of thing. Your lettuces, your spinaches, your carrots, your radishes, any of that kind of crop there, they can take the frost and that sort of. Matter of fact, when Deb planted the lettuce and I planted the spinach, and we had a little bit of snow, I was going like, but when the snow melted and the sun came out, boy, they just perked up and was growing.
Because they had all the moisture and everything.
Yeah.
So when did you plant those?
So we planted that probably back in the latter part of March, and beautiful crop of the lettuce, the spinach. The radishes ran a little bit behind because when I planted the radishes, you only plant the seeds like just a 1/4 of an inch deep, if that. And then the wind came up and blew the seeds out, so I had
That's
to.
not good.
No, so but the radishes are starting to grow now, and along with the carrots. But yeah, last night when Deb cut that lettuce, and I was planting tomato plants and pepper plants in between working with you. I mean, all organic, very mild tasting. And here again, that goes back to that controlled raised bed gardening, where you can have the soils, the fertilizers that gives it more of that sweet, natural flavor versus sometimes that bitter flavor.
And that's because of the nutrients and the amendment and everything that's in the soil?
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And we're experimenting too also, things like with romaine lettuce. I really like romaine lettuce, Troy, and it's very healthy for you too. And the romaine lettuce, I'm learning you can even grow that in just a round tub. I got some 2-gallon tubs around, 2-gallon containers around here where we planted stuff in the past, and I've been experimenting with that. And you can grow some beautiful romaine lettuce right on a back porch, or if you have a sunroom or anything that can get about 6 hours of sunlight.
How long do you keep growing stuff till?
Outside, depending what you grow and how you grow it, you can grow things from about March, probably clear into about October. So we have a pretty good growing season out here. And if you have a kind of an enclosed patio or a sunroom, you can grow some things year round. Yeah.
So do you guys replant the carrots and everything?
Yeah, we sure do.
So you're going to replant again coming up. Once you harvest, then you're going to replant.
Yeah, and with however they do it today out there in the I don't know, the science world, if you will.
Right.
They're starting to come out with lettuces and carrots that are cool season weathered things that you can grow in the spring and the fall. Now they're getting some varieties that you can actually grow in the hot summer months, So I'm going to try some of those this summer too, and just see how those do compared to the good old standbys with the
just test it and see what kind of a crop you get and the yield.
Yeah. And then that way, then you can share it with customers, too, and let them know, what it does. So, yeah.
What about cantaloupe and watermelon? That's kind of hard to grow up here, isn't it, in this area? We're in Burlington. I mean, have you had success with that? Or I know Rocky Ford's known for cantaloupe.
It can be a little tougher. Cantaloupe, watermelon, they need room to grow, and they like their water. And I do know of some farmers around here that plant cantaloupe and watermelon. They'll put them like by a pivot somewhere where they're getting the water and do really well. And so if you got some, here again, the soil amendment and water and the space, you can do it. And that's kind of a luxury we have out here compared to more to people that live in the city. We have more room to
grow a crop like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I tried a couple years ago, and what came out was not edible. I will tell you that. So you could see, you looked at it, and you're like, nope.
Well, and where you and your family are very busy, with jobs and life and kids and so forth, and you're very active in the community. It goes back to that raised bed container gardening.
Yep.
It'll be less maintenance, more controlled, and then you'll have better results, and then you'll feel a whole lot better about yourself doing it.
I just want carrots.
Yeah,
I'm going to work with you to get carrots, and that'll be a huge success.
We'll make that happen.
Good. One other thing you had mentioned that I wasn't aware of, like you said, we all get busy and stuff. You recently had taught a class over at Morgan, right? Well, the class was signed up at Morgan Community College, but then you did it in here. What all did you guys go into with that? I mean, can you touch on that? And I guess maybe other top questions you get, right, when people come in.
Yeah, and it was with the garden club.
The garden club, right on.
It was here again, back to the container gardening. And so we shared some information about why it's become so important and how to do it and how to make it easier that fits your lifestyle, your budget, and that sort of thing there. And the thing is making it all about you. I think when we think about container gardening or raised bed gardening, some people's like, well, where do I start? And it's like, some people say, well, they used their grandparents' old bathtub, or somebody will say, well, my dad's brother has a whole bunch of old wash tubs, out at the farm, So there's a lot of ways that you can do it to make it you. And the most important thing is just making sure you have some drainage. Because when you do have a controlled container garden bed, you want to make sure that water's draining somewhere so it don't become a reservoir. And so that's probably one of the most important things. But it's been interesting. Some people are into the herbs, Troy, and some people are just into the flowers. They don't care about growing and eating something. And then some people are all about growing the tomatoes, the cucumbers, and that sort of thing.
Interesting.
And the whole thing is it's making it you, making it fun. Something that fits your lifestyle.
Enjoying it, actually.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And so like you're saying carrots. If carrots is your thing, I mean, you can make a simple raised bed container and you can grow carrots, and you could probably grow carrots 8-9 months out of the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and you said herbs. That's interesting. So what kind of herbs are people growing? Like, can you grow oregano and... or what grows out here?
We carry a whole line of seeds, as well as we also, during the bedding plant season, carry the bedding plant. But parsley, herbs, oregano, rosemary, a lot of different things.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Is that something you've grown too?
Oh yeah.
Huh.
It took me a little bit to learn that. That's where I kind of learned that herbs like it more on the dry side, and they like it more with a lot of light. I was giving them too much water, so I learned less watering on that with the herbs and the light. And then you could grow herbs year round inside. I mean, and you can grow the herbs you want, and you can put them in salads, or you can dry them and put them like in your pastas or whatever. And so, yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. And actually this year we're starting to get pottery back in after 2 years. And we actually ordered some herb pots. So I'm going to start growing herb containers for people to buy, and then they can put them on their patios or their kitchens or wherever.
Sign me up. So you're going to start them and get them going, and you come in and grab it and take it back and keep growing it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and
Awesome.
then it's interesting with some people that are really into that. They're healthy, and there's some satisfaction knowing that you grew
Heck
it
yeah.
and you ate it and that sort of thing, and being healthy, more health conscious.
Sure.
But some, like I say, some people they'll share their stories how they dry it and dehydrate it, and then some people they'll go, "Oh, Bill, I just cut it and put it in a salad," and
Yeah.
And, so anyway, so it's a whole world of what you can do with what you want out.
Well, it makes you think too, because cooking is such a so many people have a passion for cooking, right? And the experience of when you're preparing your meal, and if you're doing all that, and then you're grabbing your herbs that you just grew,
Yes.
and then you're grabbing your stuff that you grew for the salad.
Yeah.
You sit down. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we had a family deal here a while back, and it was I guess my job to make the salad, and so having your own salad, your own spinach, your own radishes, your own herbs, and all of that, and then Deb, she learned how to do a lot of homemade things from her grandmother that she whips right up.
Yeah.
God's blessed her with the skill to do that through her grandmother. But anyway, and when you put it there, it's amazing how people go, man, this is delicious, versus buying something from the store, versus buying something that's you might say homemade right from your garden.
Well, yeah, and think about that. You're creating all that experience, right? I mean, that is cool.
Yeah.
That's a good idea that you're doing that.
Yeah. And now getting a little older, I'm trying to be a little more creative, and I'm even growing chard, which is very bright colored yellows, reds, oranges, and then so if you want to get fancy and show off a little bit, I guess not.
You can start growing that stuff, huh?
I've grown some, and then you can line your salad bowl with it.
Oh, that's taking it to a different level.
Yeah, and so people's going like, oh, whoa, look at you, and so it's kind of fun. The chard isn't the most pleasant thing to eat. It's a little bit more on the bitter side. It's more of a...
This is more show-off stuff.
Yeah, decorating
presentation,
stuff.
and right.
But people that have their Saturday night backyard barbecues and picnics, or their Sunday afternoon, whatever, and they want to get a little more fancy and show off, there's a lot of things you can do, and without spending a lot of money,
Yeah, and I guess if they have questions, they can come in here and bounce ideas off you and make a plan and see where you can jump in and help, huh?
Yeah, sure can.
You mentioned the garden club. That's something, so tell me about the garden club, because I wasn't aware there was a garden club. That doesn't mean anything, but
no, well, actually, it's a rather large group of I'm saying respectfully, older ladies, very nice older ladies, and but they're able to maturing. Let's say it that way.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wise.
And wise. Very. Yeah, I learned from them too. But anyway, they do different things each month, and so sometimes I get the pleasure to visit and talk with them and teach a class, and I think there's one in Burlington, one in Stratton. We even had one in Goodland, and we talk about all kinds of different things, and once in a while they even bring a couple of those treats. I don't turn down cake and pie.
They'll give you dessert for your. They barter for your gardening knowledge.
Yeah, there you go. And then I usually give them a little a discount card that's good for 4 weeks or whatever, and we learn a lot all the way, and it's a lot of fun and that sort of thing, and they're trying to get younger people into it, because we do have this younger generation coming up, Troy, that is more about
gardening. They're starting to,
and being organic, and the world we're living in right now with all the uncertainty, not knowing down the road what is the food
exactly
going to be.
Well, I mean, we're hearing there could be food shortages now, whether that impacts us, but why not be proactive and learn to grow your own where you can. We have so much sun in Colorado.
Yes.
On the Front Range, I think people are getting into growing chickens and having their own eggs and doing domestic farming, and so
and The older that Deb and I get, and I think we feel better, but she's got us on a regimen of vitamins. But with that being said, the beauty of living in a small rural community, we buy farm eggs, and Deb buys raised chickens locally that they butcher and buys, and she cooks. And just like we just used the last of our potatoes for a potato salad that she made for graduation when we had a granddaughter graduate last Sunday. And
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've got two granddaughters graduating this year.
Big year, yeah.
But anyway, but she used the last of her potatoes. She stores them in the stairwell in the basement. And they were starting to get a little spongy, but they still had a good flavor. And anyway, so, but pretty much most of it, the eggs was farm raised here locally. The potatoes was raised right here. And so a lot of it was
it's all local and organic, and
yeah,
you grew it.
Yeah.
So were the potatoes were from last year's
Yes.
harvest, and you just froze them, or?
No, you just when you pull them in the fall, you put them. Don't put them in plastic, but you can put them in a paper bag, a cardboard box, something that absorbs the moisture, and in a dark, cool place, like at our house, it happens to be underneath our stairwell. And I made a little place down there where, she stores the salsas that she makes in the late summer, and the potatoes.
Ooh, so
the
she makes her own
onions.
salsa from stuff that you guys are growing?
Yeah.
Nice.
Praise God, I was married with a wife that can do that and enjoys doing it, and you really get to savor the flavor of it, when it's in the middle of winter. But,
You're making me want to grow potatoes now.
yeah.
So, I mean, are those tough to grow, or?
No. I think some people get intimidated by potatoes, and potatoes is a thing that requires some room, some space. I've learned that, Troy. I tried to grow them in the backyard, and they do well, but I didn't have enough room. But, potatoes here again, if you do that raised bed, controlled gardening with the soil amendment, you plant them about hand deep.
Okay.
And you water, give them some fertilizer once in a while, and the potato will grow roots out, which will form potatoes, and then they'll grow a really beautiful plant straight up, and then they get a beautiful bloom on them, and then the plant dies back, and you think, what is going on? But when that plant dies back, then that's when you can start digging down and getting the potatoes you want.
Nice.
And if you want, you can let the potatoes get bigger if you're more like in the baking potato, or sometimes I like the new potatoes, and you can dig them up sooner and do your like the new potatoes with that buttery. I don't know.
No, I know what you're talking about, and then you can put some of the herbs that you just grow on top of them, and ooh, that sounds good.
It is good. Yeah.
Huh.
So anyway, and potatoes are very, very healthy for you.
Very love
healthy.
potatoes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. All the root vegetables all of them are healthy for you, but the root vegetables, we've learned through actually our daughter with MS that the root vegetables is something that's really healthy and helps that sort of thing to deter some issues, that's more on the natural way without having to put a lot of chemicals in your body.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, kind of shifting focus, because I know we don't have all day, even though I feel like we should, right? Just talk about this. Landscaping, right? So, I mean, you guys do landscaping, and obviously I've done a few podcasts about water. Water's a big issue that's going to hit us. I mean, it's not going away. Right. Whether people know that or not, I mean, we're up against some serious consequences with water conservation. Yes. And it's municipalities, cities, they're affected as well. Yeah. So I think, people are looking at ways to xeriscape, right? And go to use less water. Is that something you guys are, because I know you guys probably have stuff here for that, right? Like rock and stuff.
Yeah.
And
the last 2 years it's been pretty tough with all the stuff that's been going on. But praise God, it's very encouraging that we're starting to get more things back in. We're going to be getting some rocks back in, hopefully starting this week. And in the next couple weeks. And we also try to bring in the plants that are a little bit more drought tolerant, if you will, less watering. We have a a grass seed that's made right here in Colorado that is more less watering, less maintenance. It gives you that thick carpet of grass that looks like bluegrass, and it grows a deeper root, thicker thatch. So when we get in the stress heat of the months like July and August, then it don't dry out so much, which less watering.
Right.
And obviously we know that the whole world, water is the new gold, I guess, if you will. We all know that, I guess. But listening to you, as well as just awareness, Deb and I, we're making it a personal mission for ourselves as well as our kids, our grandkids, their kids, how to water less but still have a yard, how to water less and still have a garden. And so we're, as we was talking the other day, I'm going to start converting my yard over into more of a xeriscaping, extrascaping. I can give ideas. I don't so much do it. Getting older, my back and my hands won't allow me to do that so much. But I can give ideas.
Well, and if somebody came in here, right, and they said, "Hey, will you come look at my yard and help me design something?"
Yeah.
Right? Not do the labor, right? You can
Right.
get some of the neighborhood kids to chip in and help with that.
Yeah.
But just, hey, let's come up with a plan. Is that something that you guys would be willing to do? And then you can help provide the materials and everything?
Yep, and we can do that. And the neat thing about that is Troy, you can do rocks, you can do plants that require less water that are perennials, and perennials mean they come back every year. A way I always used to remember as a child growing up, annuals means yearly, and perennials means permanent, and the perennials come back every year. And there's a lot of plants out there today that we carry, and a lot of other places too carry, that are more drought tolerant. And then, of course, there's rocks and just a lot of different things. There's trees and shrubs that you can do. So you can still have that inviting atmosphere, but it's just a way of using less water.
Right.
And I'm been thinking to myself, Troy, probably for the last 5 years. I think to myself sometime, and working in a industry like this, I'm going, wow, here we spend all this money in water, fertilizer, mowing, to say we got a green yard, which is nice.
Yeah.
And it's okay to have some grass and nice, but I think we're getting into times now that we can have that grass, but we need to change how we do it so we can still have that inviting atmosphere, but do it more sensible with being careful with water usage.
That's well said. I think we're going to probably have to.
Yeah.
What one other, I know, because we don't have a lot of time left because you guys are about to open. We started shooting this like at 7:15 in the morning, which was awesome. What a beautiful setting. As far as one question I had was plants. We have a giant tree in the front yard. What are some good plants to put you on the spot, or right, people can come in and check, but for shade? I mean, do you guys have stuff in here for stuff that doesn't need tons of sun
we
that
do.
I'm not going to kill?
No, we do. There is some people that's fortunate that live in some homes where they got the older established trees.
Yep.
And the shade, and that is awesome. But here again, having
makes it hard.
Yeah, getting plants, because a lot of the plants do like that sun and light. But yes, we do have plants. To answer your question, Troy, there's hostas. There's different kinds of impatient plants and different things that do good in shade, that are annuals and perennials. You're a little bit less of a variety, but yes, there is things you can do. And you can also do containers and raised beds underneath trees too.
Huh. Yeah, I think I'm going to put mine out in the sun and then try and find some stuff to grow under our giant tree in the front yard.
Yeah.
Okay, well, and then, so let's go back to, because we probably have 10, 15 minutes, but let's get into a little history of why you started this place 20 years ago, and then let us know if you guys are doing anything special this weekend for the anniversary, or, kind of, I'd like to hear a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, way back when my grandparents raised me, and I didn't realize how much I enjoyed it, but my grandfather, he raised the garden in the backyard. My grandmother raised the flowers in the front yard, and Grandpa didn't touch Grandma's stuff, and vice versa. And I had the best of both worlds.
You were getting into all of it, huh?
Yeah, and I really enjoyed it. And anyway, then it came to a point in my life that I was working at Safeway, and I thought I might have to go to Vietnam, but so I went with a little card, and I said what do I do here? I didn't know what to do. And the nice, sweet, older lady, she said, honey, throw it away. Nick's into the draft. He's pulling us out of Vietnam. Go get a job.
Oh, wow.
So I went back to Safeway, and I said, I need a job. And, of course, back in those days, it was easier. And so it's like, here's an apron, here's a box cutter, and get busy, And so that's where I spent the next 30 years of my life. And it was very good. It taught me a lot about management skills and merchandising and a lot of things that it requires of running a business and being in a management position. And fast forward, though, Troy, after about 28 years, I got burned out, and I said it was time for a change. But I had to work 30 years to get a retirement, and it wasn't much of a retirement, but it was a retirement.
Sure.
So anyway, I struggled through that last couple years, and Deb was very supportive, and she said, whatever you want to do, I'll do it with you. And we wanted to do something locally. The kids was here, the grandkids was, we starting to have grandkids, the kids was. And anyway, I was on a pity party one day with myself, and I was riding around, and Deb was teaching a computer class, and I drove past this greenhouse, and the weeds was up about chest high, and the windows was soaped up with the stuff where you couldn't look in, and so I pulled in.
And it was this place?
And it was this place, and I pulled in, and I got to looking around, and I was praying to God for guidance, and the light bulb went off, and it was like, I can do this. I want to do this. And so anyway, fast forward, Deb knew Louis Nider, and he helped us with a lease agreement where the lease payments went toward the purchase price for 5 years, and then we bought it in 5 years. But anyway, we came in, and the bank loaned us the money, but they said they needed $100,000 of my money. And I was going like, oh boy. So I cashed in all of my retirement, which was about $90,000, and they said close enough. And anyway, 20 years later, here we are, and we enjoy it. And I'm grateful that Deb and I are able to work together and live together as a married couple.
You guys do a good job,
and,
yeah.
Well, thank you. And we've had the ups and downs and the rights and
Like any
wrongs.
business, yeah.
But I got to tell you, people like you helping us, do things like this, and the bank helping us in times that, like I can remember, more drought conditions was starting in. 2008 with the bottom kind of falling out, the COVID stuff this last couple years. But the community has always rallied, supported us, and 20 years later, here we are, and we
What an
enjoy.
awesome story.
Yeah, and thank you. And so God blessing us, answering our prayers, it is something that we can enjoy doing with the family and the grandkids and friends, and I don't know, there's just something about making people feel good makes me feel good when you're delivering flowers or plants or coming in talking about gardening, it just there's a good feeling with
Well,
that.
I can tell that you love doing that, and I mean,
you.
I can tell when the weather gets warmer and this time of the year, you can just see, like, this is your guys' element.
Yeah.
Because you do the other things to keep things going the rest of the year, but now you look around, right? I mean, everything's green. We got beautiful flowers everywhere. We're growing. I mean, this is, that's a cool time.
Yeah, and and another thing I think that's helped me a lot when I was struggling, getting burned out with corporate, and knowing I needed to do something else. I fought depression all my life, and I guess it must be something I inherited from a biological parent, but neither here nor there. I can take a medication once a day and stay on top of that. but being in an environment like this and eating the right foods and being active really helps out a lot. And of course, I've learned getting older in the winter months, and it's dark at 4 o'clock or 4:30 and it's 18 degrees outside. That's when growing the things that you can eat that are natural and healthy to help that. But when it starts staying lighter longer and the birds are singing and you're starting to get all this kind of environment, it's just like
it makes everything. But I was talking to multiple people about the difference that this time of year makes for exercise, right?
Yeah,
Being out, wanting to go do it, and just it's not as cold. It's not dark at 7 a.m.
Yeah,
you're out doing stuff. So
you feel better physically and mentally, and I think when God designed all this, I think this is the way it was meant to be originally.
Cycles, maybe.
Yeah, but boy, you're right. When the birds are singing and it's warmer and the leaves are on the trees and you start planting things, and like last night after you and I got through working together, getting ready for this morning, I told Deb I'm going to get my light and go out and plant
start doing some more gardening.
Yeah, because the wind went down.
Yeah.
It was cool and it was peaceful, and getting your hands in that dirt. And I woke up this morning and I was back out there in the coffee looking at it, going like,
look
wow.
at that.
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
Cycle of life.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're just under an hour.
Okay.
Hard to believe that we've gone an hour. Huh?
Yes,
that goes quick. But then coming up, so this podcast today is Tuesday, the 17th.
Right.
We're going to turn this podcast will probably be out on Thursday, I believe.
Okay.
What do you guys got going on this weekend for anniversary stuff?
I'm glad you brought that up, Troy. Here we're talking about all this, and I almost forgot to say this. Okay, so what Deb and I are doing for our 20-year anniversary, Saturday, one day only, and we're going to be open 8 to 6, and we're going to do a 20% off sale. And everything will be 20% off except for fresh floral, but everything else will be 20% off. And we got help coming in to do the meet and greet and help customers. Mrs. Gordon's going to make us. She's going to make us some nice cakes.
Okay.
And we'll have a few refreshments, and we're going to have some giveaways.
Okay.
And so it's just our way of thanking the community for your support over the last 20 years. So we said 20 years, a 20% off.
Yeah.
And making it fun. And it's all the stuff outside, inside, and and we have a semi-load of plants coming today, as well as we've got another one coming Thursday.
You're going to be busy.
So hopefully we'll have the inventory here to have what people want. And
I think you guys will, man. It looks awesome in here.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and I see, when on the weekends, if I'm out riding bikes, I see, there's always people here. I have a feeling it's going to be packed on Saturday. Yeah. So that's a great way to just have people come down here, ask questions, learn more, get advice, and just, and celebrate with you guys 20 years and save a little money.
Yeah. Troy, thank you very much.
Yeah,
I mean, and I just want to say thank you to the whole community out there. I mean, through the thick and thin of it all, it's good. We enjoy it, and the support of the community, we couldn't do without that through our good Lord. Amen. And we're even starting to get customers from Lyman and Ray and St. Francis and Goodland and Shine Wells and so forth. So that's nice meeting other people and hearing their stories too about a little bit different areas with the planting and the way they
different issues they're facing and everything.
Yeah.
Well, good, man. I mean, we'll have to hear the feedback on this, but we'll do another one of these.
Okay.
I mean, I learned a lot,
All right.
and we'll see what kind of questions we get. But what a great place to do it. So maybe we can do it in the fall or something. Okay.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Troy, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.